what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Fury from BackerKit. We're here at Essen Spiel 2018. I'm here with James Hudson from Druid City Games, and we're here to talk about crowdfunding, tabletop games, and Tidal Blades, which is on Kickstarter right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So first, tell us a little bit about Druid City Games.
Sure. So, it's something we did 3 years ago when we started our first game, Barnyard Roundup, and it was mostly just one of those, I have this idea that I want to make. It was very altruistic, just I don't care if I make any money, just I want to make this game. And then it quickly turned into Grim Forest, and that was where let's see if we can turn this into a business.
Right.
And it turned out really well. And then we've done I guess we're on number 6.
Sixth campaign, which is Tidal Blades now,
Tidal
right?
Blades, yeah.
And I saw that you recently partnered with Skybound.
Yep, that's right.
Tell us a little bit about what Skybound is and what that partnership looks like.
So Skybound is actually Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead. It's actually his entertainment company that he built to help other creators get their creations in the world, because he had a really hard time getting Walking Dead to the TV. It was like a 10-year process, and it shouldn't have been that hard. And so one of his big passions is to help other creators not to have that sort of hiccup. So we met, they partnered with us on Grim Forest, actually, and it was a great year worth of partnership. And we said, why don't we just make this a more permanent setup? Because if creators are watching, then they know how tumultuous it is to go alone at this business, because the margins in board games aren't huge. Nobody's driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis in the board game world. And so, to have support and staff is a big help.
Right, so big backing, and it looks you guys are going after the same thing. So I noticed online, I see your YouTube channel, I see that you have a true passion for tabletop gaming.
Sure.
That shows in your videos. Highly recommend people listening or watching to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And so that passion's driven. What inspired you to, you did the Barnyard Animals, but then that had to be kind of a turning point for you. What after that was kind of one and done, or what inspired you to keep going and make more?
Sure.
Now 5 or 6 games later?
Mostly the Barnyard Animal thing was more of that was the idea that I had at the time, right? And as you create things, you can't really you can't say, well, I didn't need to create this right now, I needed to create something else. That's just what I created. That's what I was inspired to do. That's not a big draw on Kickstarter, family barnyard animal type art.
Right.
And so from there, you had to go, okay, it funded, we made it, we learned how to do things, we learned how to make a thing and ship a thing. And
Right.
But now, can we make something that people actually want?
Okay.
And so then it tailors a little bit to, then I went out and found Tim Eisner, who had this other game, and I was like, I have the perfect set of artists, I have the perfect idea and the perfect team to help you build this out and make it bigger than what you got it at right now.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
I see a trend. First one's usually for you, something you want to play yourself. The second one, you still put that in there, but you kind of broaden the horizon a little bit.
You have to. It's marketing and appeal, and market proposition is super important. And that's one of the things I'm always preaching in the tabletop advice. Tabletop Kickstarter Advice Group.
Right.
That's a really active group. If you're not on that, you should be.
Right.
James May started that group a long time ago. Has a lot of publishers and people on Kickstarter, and it's something that we preach all the time in that group. Of you can't ignore what the market wants. Even if you have a great idea, you still need to take into account and still try to present it in a way that is at least the market's going to be somewhat valuable or perceived to.
Right.
If you come in with some totally weird off the wall random thing, sometimes that can be like lightning in a bottle, and you have a Kingdom Death monster. I don't think anybody would have looked at that and said, this is going to be a huge hit.
Millions right off the bat. Yeah.
Because it's so weird.
Right.
and outside the norm.
Yeah, and mature and very limited target audience. Yeah,
very niche.
But that's the beauty of crowdfunding, I guess.
But don't use that as your litmus test. You can't use Kingdom Death. Typically you're gonna, if there's some certain boxes that you need to check.
Yeah. So crowdfunding.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of people make these games. If they have manufacturing hookups, they just kind of put them to production, do an online store. Why choose crowdfunding? Why did you decide to start with Kickstarter?
So the easy thing is I didn't have the money to do it.
Right.
And it is a way to get people excited about something that you're making, so that you take less risk. Right. There's so many stories before Kickstarter existed of people having garages full of games that they thought were a great game or a great idea, and they've never sold them. Right. They spent
They're just
their
sitting
entire
in those
life
garages,
savings,
just waiting to be played.
There was a guy that used to go around to some of the conventions who he's like, this game is awesome. He made it. He made 10,000 units, and his garage is full of 9,998 units.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't. It's a great way to test the market. See, I think this is a great idea. Here's my idea. Do people actually want it?
Right.
Because if your campaign fails, part of that is because the market didn't want your idea. I know that's hard. That's hard. That's harsh.
It's a life lesson.
But it's also like, don't take it personal. Bring that project back and go, how can I adjust it so the market does want it?
Yeah. I tell people often, if you fail, I like to say unfunded a project, you just learn so much. The you now is so much smarter. You're so much. So don't let it deter you from trying again.
It's actually part of a strategy now. Like, because the Kickstarter market is so flooded with games, failing is going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you still cultivate 300, 400, 500 people that are very interested in your product that'll be there on the first day when you relaunch.
Yeah.
So you just make those changes and make it more appealing.
Yeah.
And then when you relaunch, you should be successful.
Part of building it. So you've got 5 projects on your belt. You've got about 15K backers supported, or have pledged, and you've been delivering. How do you keep those fans engaged in between projects? How do you keep them once you've got them?
Sure. Well, I think Kickstarter does a good job of that for us. That's one of the things the platform does really, really well. Mm-hmm. Also, post-campaign funding platforms like you guys, right? Like, we're able to keep product in front of people so that they can keep engaging. Then from that, it's a lot of my social media, a lot of, like, one of the things we're specifically doing in Title Blades is we unlocked an RPG show that we're going to do while we make the game.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
So we're going to have manufacturing rolling and going and doing, but then we're also going to do an adventure in the world that we're building.
The DVD special features, yeah.
Yeah, people are already asking, like, can you get Matt Mercer to DM that for you?
Yeah.
I was like, I hope we can.
That would be great.
I think it would be expensive. High five. I know we're in an interview, but high five. Woohoo!
Okay, so in the past couple of years, you've come a long way. You went from your Barnyard Animals game all the way to now collaborating with Skybound. So I'm convinced you either figured out how to clone yourself or unlocked time travel. Are either of those true?
No, it's one of those things where you've got to have a genuine passion for it. And I'll be honest, I've had plenty of jobs where I did not have genuine passion.
Right.
I just had a paycheck and I needed to show up. And I think that's one of the things that's special about this industry. I mean, like, we look around us and we're at Essen, and there's just so much passion here. It's easy because it just pours out of us, and that's not true for all jobs. So that's one of the things I always go back to people, and I'm like, is it genuinely, organically pouring out of you? Because if it's not, this isn't something you're going to go, I'm really excited about my paycheck. Right? Like, definitely. You've got to want to be in this industry.
Yeah. You've got to sacrifice a little bit. Yeah,
a lot of it.
Just finally, so I'm a tabletop creator watching at home.
Yep.
Haven't done it yet. Haven't kickstarted it yet. What words of wisdom would you give to someone, or you're the first version of you doing your first game? What would you tell yourself?
Number one thing that you have to do, is you have to go read every blog entry from Jamey Stegmaier.
Right. I've heard this.
He has it quarantined off. There's over 230-ish lessons. Now, some of the early ones are from like 2012, so you got to take a little bit grain of salt, because that information, he'll even tell you that he's updated.
Changed,
but if you go in the comments, typically he's updated some comments. Start there, because it's like a wealth of knowledge. You really can't replace that.
And he'll respond to you if you comment on there.
Yeah,
and stuff. Everything I've ever written on there, he's talked like within a week he'll get back to you. So.
Yeah. I would say I've had people reach out to me and ask me questions, and I'm like, have you read Jamey Stegmaier's blog first? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to answer any of your questions until you put in the work of reading those blogs. And it doesn't take that long.
It looks intimidating, but it's very digestible.
Yeah,
it's like if you just, once you read like 2 or 3, you're in, it's like you're on the ride.
And plus, it's information that you're seeking, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, ooh, I need to know about that. Ooh,
Yeah.
and he's even quarantined at the top 10, right?
Yeah.
So start with the top 10.
Yeah,
You'll get a lot of things you need to know, and then you can just dive in further.
definitely.
And then from there, like, things like that tabletop advice group are great, because you're essentially pinging people that are actively making campaigns.
Right.
And they're happy to share. That's one thing I love about this industry, is people are happy to share their information. I try to help as many people as I can too. It gets daunting, especially when you're running a Kickstarter with all the messages, but I truly believe a rising tide raises all ships, and no one here is my competition. I don't sell a game because you have a good game.
Right.
We can both sell our game. So that's what I love about this industry. I've been in other industries, and it's definitely not like that everywhere.
Right on. Yeah, I totally agree. Appreciate you hanging out with BackerKit for a little bit. I know it's a busy con here, but great advice. And check out Title Blades. It's on Kickstarter right now.
Yep.
And check out his YouTube page. I'll
Yeah,
put it
sure.
in the description below. And thanks again.
Bye.
Peace.